All right, guys, today we're going to talk about the necessary steps you need to do in order to do an oil tank removal. Guys, what you're looking at right here is a 275-gallon oil tank. It's an old tank. They converted from oil to gas, so part of the code is you have to remove the oil tank. So we're going to take you to the process. So step number one. Step number one is shut off the actual shut-off valve on the bottom of the oil tank. Typically, it's on the bottom of the tank. It could be on the left, on the right, depending where it's at, but you want to make sure it's off. Why you want to make sure it's off? Remember, we're demoing. We're going from oil to gas. So if you do any type of demo on the other line, it's an open line. So you definitely don't want to have any fuel lingering or leaking into the basement. It's very hard to pick up and dispose of, and also the smell. You usually don't want to make a mess. So guys, first thing is first, shut off the shut-off valve on the bottom of the oil tank. All right, guys. So now we're ready to do actually the main work, the main event, baby. So what's the main event? What do I mean by that? We also gotta make sure there's no oil inside the tank. Sometimes there's oil, sometimes there's not. In this particular case, we have 14 inches of number 2 oil inside the tank. How are we gonna take out the oil? Well, guys, we have a 55-gallon drum outside, and we use an oil-rated pump because it has to be rated for fuel oil. You're always gonna look at the manufacturer and make sure it's rated for number 2 oil in order for you to remove the oil from the tank. So guys, you don't wanna put an actual pump that is rated just for water. So make sure that it's rated for oil. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna actually put a dipstick, what we call, or you could just stick a hose all the way to the bottom. But what I would suggest is put a dipstick and measure, and make sure you measure about 1 or 2 inches from the bottom of the oil tank. Why? Because you have sludge on the bottom of the tank. So guys, you don't want to suck up sludge because you're gonna ruin your pump. Now we're ready to do the work. What's the job? Well, first thing is first, we're gonna cut the vent line, the fill pipe. We're gonna cut this out here, and we want to make sure that everything is nice and clear. You're gonna get a Sawzall, which makes sure that the Sawzall blade is new, and also you have several of them because you're gonna cut this tank in half. That's right, guys, we're gonna cut this tank in half because you need to get access. Also, we put a Dryzol or an oil absorbent into the bottom of the oil tank. Why? To suck up all the sediment and sludge inside the tank. The sludge is on the bottom. You guys are gonna see in the video that it's a lot of accumulation, especially because it's been here for so many years, guys. So you wanna make sure it's easy to absorb, which we use an oil absorbent. It looks something like this. You get this at your local old AutoZone, or it could be any Pep Boys of any kind. You also sell this in Home Depot. And what are we gonna do with this oil absorbent? We're gonna dump it inside, and we're gonna absorb all that sediment and sludge, basically make a soup out of it. Once that's all absorbed, you can see, make sure that it's a more of like a muddy mix. Make sure you can take that oil out. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna put them in bags. We're gonna put all this Dryzol inside bags, and we're gonna haul these bags into the dumpster, which we have in our shop. You also gotta check with your codes, because sometimes you cannot just dump that into your local dumpster. You may have to pay somebody to come pick it up, or if you want, you can call a local company to remove all the oil from the tank. But that's gonna cost you a lot more money. So I suggest doing it the way we're doing it, but everybody have a preference, and everybody does things a little bit different. So once that's all completely done, now we're ready to haul it out. Typically, we like to cut them in half, like I showed you, not only just to get access, but you wanna cut it in half because it makes it a lot lighter. Sometimes, depending on the situation, you may have to cut this 4 ways. What do I mean? You cut it halfway, and you cut it this way. So you're gonna cut it in quarters. Why? Because sometimes you're in a crawl space. This is good because we have plenty of room, but that's not always the case, guys. So in 2 pieces, I'm able to take out the oil tank. But sometimes you can't take it out in 2 pieces because it doesn't fit through the door, or you gotta take it out through the crawl space, whatever. So you're gonna make life so much easier, you're gonna cut it. It's not only easier for you to do the removal, but it's also easy for you to save your back and to prevent accidents, basically, because when things are too heavy, you can't hold it, your helper's on the bottom, and you could cause an accident, him getting hurt, or breaking something, and we don't wanna do that. So guys, these are the steps to do the oil tank removal. If you have any questions, or if you like this video, please hit that subscribe button, press that like button, hit that bell button, and we'll leave a comment below. Hvac.